What's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new series of episode reviews. This is for The Rising of the Shield Hero Season 3. With me, as always, I have Blue Spade. And we did review Season 2. I forget how, I guess, about over a year ago now, I think it came out. A
I think it was about a
couple of
couple
years ago.
years ago, I think.
Yeah, as you know, Season 2 of Shield Hero was a pretty big disappointment. Uh, they changed the director, and I don't know if that's to blame for the quality of it, because they basically rushed a lot of things with the story, and uh, especially like light novel readers probably know, like they pretty much skipped out on quite a few things. Um, Even as an anime only watcher, I kind of felt like they were rushing through the plot. Uh, that was kind of the worst part of season two, and the plot itself wasn't nearly as interesting as what happened in season one. Um, so yeah, season two was just unfortunately just a huge step down. Um, which kind of made me not really that interested in watching season three. But I did hear they got the director for season one back, and season one was actually fairly decent. So hopefully that means that they're gonna try to, this season might be a little bit better than what his season two ended up being like. Um, but yeah, but so far with the first episode, like I feel like it's too early to judge. But I mean, I it was fine. I mean, I could say the same though for the first episode of season two. I mean, I thought season two had a fairly promising start, but it didn't. It was around like maybe like few episodes in when it started just pretty much started losing me a little bit, especially with how this what was it, the spirit tortoise looked. It looked pretty terrible. Um, I mean, I'm gonna give this one like 4 or 5 episodes before I really say whether or not it's an improvement over season two, though.
Yeah, and not only that, I, I mean, well, we never really got to get a lot of development with certain characters that have been MIA since the last season.
Well,
Um,
it
it,
is
it,
funny you mentioned that though, because in this episode, I do remember like in season two, the three heroes were also like, well, they were also missing, but they were like kidnapped or something. And in the beginning of this season, the three heroes are missing again, for some reason. and, and I just thought it was just kind of funny how it's like the same thing happening again. Like, I, I don't know. I'm like, they've I don't know why. I'm wondering why they're missing this time though, because they're just MIA once again. Um,
well, not only those three, but the Queen also mentions that Maltese also gone MIA as well.
yeah,
But it seems to me that they're setting up Malti to be the main antagonist once more. After she was mostly the main antagonist from the first season, so it makes sense for her to continue her role as the main antagonist
I
moving forward.
was she involved in season
Because
two? I honestly can't remember. Like,
she was not. She
okay,
was only in just this one episode in the first season, and then she just did not make another appearance since then. Um, and then of course, so we the main antagonist for season two was Kyo,
yeah,
but I mean, he wasn't really that notable of a villain, to be honest. I mean, he just
they
he was more of an
they tried
he was more of
to
an
give
yeah.
him some kind of like development or like right at the very end, but I felt like at that point is like I even mentioned, I remember in the reviews, I thought it was just too late for them to try to redeem him as a character, because he just came off as just the super generic cartoonish villain that just was evil. And they try to like make
He was
him I, I guess kind of sympathetic in a way, because they show some flashbacks of him and how he was before. But at that point, I didn't really care. Um,
Yeah, I mean, he was just mostly portrayed as some obnoxious asshole of
yeah,
sorts. I just didn't really even care. So, well, with this season, back since last year when they announced how they're going to handle this season, with not only bringing in the original director back, but also bringing in some staff members who worked on Made in Abyss. They did hype around the potential of like about delving into the backstory of the three heroes, which we never really gotten ever since the season series started.
yeah. Well, I mean, we do also get teased that in the new opening as well. That I guess they're going to go into the backstory of the heroes. The problem though is that for the past like first, I mean, the first two seasons, the heroes have really just been just just not really. I mean, except maybe for season one, but season two they were just they just were, like I said, they were MIA and they didn't really have any real effect on the story. So they really have to. I would say that they really need to go out of their way to try to, make us actually care about any of the other heroes at this point, because we really don't know anything about them, except what their roles are as the heroes. And they
Yeah,
basically treated
and
Naofumi like trash, like everybody else in season one. Um, and of course, they have an antagonistic relationship. Well, not as much anymore, of course, because of Naofumi, you know, clearing his name pretty much at the end of season one. But uh, they still kind of are very distant from each other. So I don't know. I feel like they really need to try to do something to at least make us care about any of the other characters or the other heroes.
yeah. So, so of course it does pick up after the events of the second season. Of course, we like I said, the other three heroes have gone MIA, and that now Fumi has been given a task to to prepare for the impending awakening of the phoenix, which is another like spirit type animal similar to the spirit tortoise. Um,
Yeah.
but of course, he needs the help of the other heroes, which of course, like we said, they've gone MIA. But um, but now Fumi also mentions that they're all also like the 7-star heroes that could help out, but they're also missing as well. And the queen mentions that that she knows of like one other hero called the staff hero, but it turns out it's actually the former king of the kingdom, who is nicknamed Trash now, which
Yeah.
which kind of took me a little bit by surprise that someone like that would would have so much to
It
stand against now for me, or the shield hero in
I hope
general.
they kind of go into that or something, because it was just kind of it got brought up, and then that we find out it was the king, and then they just kind of now Fumi says, well, I can't believe he was a staff hero. But I don't know, maybe we'll get more about that eventually, because I didn't even know that the king was like a former hero or anything like that.
Yeah, they just dropped it on us like out of
Yeah.
nowhere. But yeah, I think I think it's up to now. I think for this season, it's up to now Fumi to go looking for the other three heroes and potentially some other members of the seven heroes other than like the staff hero, which
Yeah.
who turns out to be the king. Um, but yeah, most of this episode is now Fumi looking to free some other demi-human slaves that used to live in uh, Luro, I can't pronounce the name.
Yeah.
Is so
I guess one of the
so
demi-human villages.
yeah. So now Fumi, of course, pays another visit to the slave trader, who gives him information about about the other demi-humans located in like in another city. But now Fumi, of course, decides to use most of his money to buy off all the slaves. Uh, like in the current town he's in with with his with the usual slave trader. So they take a trip um to this new city called Zelto Tomobile, I think called
Something
it.
like that.
And then they find there's an underground auction. But of course, like they meet another slave trader who's
He he's just
like
the
like
I thought it was the
he's
same
like
guy, but I guess the joke is that he's the uncle, because he said that the other slave trader was his nephew, uh, but they look exactly the same and they wear the same
yeah.
clothes.
Yeah, so of course now Fumi wants to try to buy off even more demi-humans, but of course he knows that he doesn't have enough money because he purchased like every other demi-human in the Melromar Kingdom. So now he's like forced to take part in this underground fighting arena under a different alias in order to get enough money to free them.
Yeah,
So
so I mean, at first they observed the arena and just like the different participants. I assume this, of course, just based on the opening. This woman approaches Naofumi, and I guess he's probably going to be an important character eventually. But they like have an interaction, and they'll observe this one fight. And then Naofumi, of course, because they need to get money in order to uh in order to buy these slaves that he needs to help defend his lands. Uh, so I thought this was so silly, to be honest, because the plan Alfumi has is that they're going to participate in the tournament and they're going to wear these masks, like these disguise, quote unquote disguises, these masks to sort of like hide their identities. I wish they would have said, like, kind of basically like said like, okay, these masks, they have some kind of illusion magic where they, nobody can know who we are, because they're wearing is masks, and they change their names, so that, I guess, yeah, they think that, that'll fool people or something. But it just seems so ridiculous, because I mean, I feel like they should have at least said like, oh, this is we can use some magic to disguise ourselves and people will see us as somebody else or something, instead of just, we're going to wear these
I
masks.
I mean, they did use, some sort of
Yeah, it
illusion
did look like
magic
they were
to
using
make
something
it
like
look
that,
like.
because they, for like, to use these other weapons or something to fight with in the tournament. Um,
Well, I mean, for Naofumi, um, as we all know, he can't use any other weapon other than the shield that he
yeah,
carries. So he has to rely on Raftalia to use her like her illusion abilities to make it seem like he's holding a sword on his other hand.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I
so
wish at least they would say like, oh, maybe like Raftal use some kind of illusion magic to fool people with their appearances. Because otherwise, I don't know who's being fooled by them just wearing masks on their face. Um, because we can see what they look like. Other than that, it's just them wearing masks.
Yeah, and of course, other than than this mysterious woman that Naofumi talks to, there's this other character. I think they call him, like, he's like a white tiger demi-human, who looks like he could potentially be a major character,
Yeah.
possibly for this season. Yeah, I mean, he was participating in, like, in this tournament fight, which he was fixed to lose against this, like, this noble kid, which he of course loses on purpose to get, to get paid afterwards.
Mm,
But it looks like, he's potentially going to be somewhat of a major character moving forward, based on the opening too.
right. Um. Yes, and it's kind of where we end off the episode. Well, I mean, they basically, Naofumi and his group, they fight against these people in the tournament. And they're kind of like pretending that they're not as powerful as they are, and then they end up just winning against them, of course, because they're a lot more powerful than the people they're fighting against. Uh, but I mean, it was an okay first episode, I guess. It seems like we're getting into some kind of a tournament arc, I guess, with Naofumi and trying to basically acquire money. And I kind of hope that's not like the whole season, especially knowing this is going to be like
I
12, 13 episodes.
I don't think that the whole Coliseum thing's going to take place the whole season. I
Yeah.
mean, based on, like, based on the opening, from what I
So
saw, it looks like we're gonna get a little bit more development with, with the other three
yeah.
heroes, which was apparently lacking from, the
Well,
past. Well, like I said, from the past, first two
yeah, I was gonna say,
seasons.
like, the problem I can see happening here is the same problem that, like, if it's not done well, is the same problem we had in season two, where it was kind of two story arcs sort of crammed into like a, yeah, because I think season two, wasn't it also like 12 to 13 episodes as well, like it was a shorter season. um I mean, that was the problem with that, is that they kind of like rushed through the Spirit Tortoise arc, and then they got into the arc where they were in the other world. um and I'm kind of hoping they don't do the same thing with season three, where they end up like rushing through like this tournament arc, and then they get to whatever, finding the other heroes. And they also mentioned, of course, the Phoenix waking up again, or waking up. So I'm wondering if that's going to be touched on this in this season two, and I'm wondering if they have that much time to really cover all that, because I'm kind of concerned if they don't end up like just rushing through all that like they did with season two.
I- If I mean, this is gonna be 12 episodes. If they want to, like, adapt certain parts of the story, I would say they would need to hold off on this, on this Phoenix, like, storyline until the next season, because I don't see, because, I think the main focus should be, unlike season one, which mostly developed Naofumi as, like, as like the title suggests, it's the rising of the shield hero, right? But season two, it just, there was no, there was like very little in amount of character development, and they tried to put in some world building with this alternate world that they explore, but it didn't really it didn't really hit the same notes as season one did, unfortunately.
Yeah, mostly because season one was a lot more personal because it had to do with Naofumi trying to clear his name uh, after being accused of what he did, which he didn't. Of course, he didn't do. Uh, so that was like one of the main appeals of season one. But after that, like he kind of resolved that in the end of season one. So with season two, they kind of went a different direction with the, like you said, trying to do some world building, but it wasn't that well done in my opinion because they don't really they pretty much rush through the entire plot. So I don't know. Maybe they'll try to do that, but do it better in season three. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
I feel like we
yeah,
kind of
and
need to get also somewhat of what made season one decent bad to come back as well, such as maybe Naofumi having some kind of a personal struggle. I don't know what it could be, but or just having something to do with the other heroes as well.
yeah.
But
I mean, based on the promotional material, like it looks like they're pushing for the storyline for the three heroes, and also the fact that Malty is once again gonna be like the major antagonist for the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, if we go by what it looks like in the opening, like it looks like she maybe like manipulating the bow hero or something, with the way she was sort of positioned behind him. Um,
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I mean, she's still with what was it,
Moriyasu.
Moriyasu, this spear hero, which she she tries to to use him for his for his advantage for her advantage
Yeah,
of sorts. So it's likely that she's gonna be like play some kind of role uh in regards to like what's gonna happen to the other three heroes.
yeah. But I don't really have too much else to say about the episode, though. I don't really know if you have anything else to say about it. Um,
So far, it looks a little bit more promising than how season two started out.
yeah,
It looks like we did get like a bit of a premise of where the story is headed, who the main antagonist is potentially going to be, and of course the hinting at like develop finally putting in some character development for the other three heroes, which we never gotten since the series started.
yeah. But yeah, guys, that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.